breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, warm up, brother, hello. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you as we're going to be joined in segment number 2 by one of our good friends, Curtis Rogers. He's over at 710 Seattle Sports as the Seattle Mariners pre- and post-game host on their flagship station. We're going to chat with him about what we're seeing in this wild American League. The Mariners being able to get up off the mat, looking much better here over the last few weeks, and just the landscape of baseball. A few teams that he's feeling bullish/bearish on. In the final segment, going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this baseball Saturday as we touch them all. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one or two ways we fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, LRCM, that does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. Other way is via an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. While I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today, we had ourselves a fun day of baseball on Friday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends, and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
The Baltimore Orioles absolutely slug it out in this one against the Blue Jays, 13-3. They get the road win for Brandon Young. He gives up 3 runs over the course of 6 1/3 innings, more than enough to get the job done, as he was taken deep by Brandon Valenzuela, 6th home run in the campaign, and Trey Savage. I don't think he had given up a home run all season long. Gives up a pair. Kobe Mayo and Adley Rutschman both get their 8th home runs of the campaign. 6 runs allowed in 5 2/3 innings. From there, Alex Mecco 4 outs out of the bullpen Squirrels. Uriel Rodriguez gives up a pair of runs in 2/3 of an inning. You had Tyler Heineman, the backup catcher, get the final out of the 9th inning after Connor Siebold. He had given up 3 runs over the course of an inning. Grant Wolfram, pair of outs out of the bullpen Squirrels. Yenir Cano, don't you know that he and Anthony Nunez were both able to give you a shutout inning. Tigers starting to look a little bit more respectable. They win that series against the Rays, and they win on Friday 7-3 against the Seattle Mariners. Brian Wu is more like Brian Boo, as he gives up a home run, 5 runs in total in 6 1/3 innings, as he was taken deep by Gary Carpenter, 8th home run season. Spencer Torkelson, 9th home run season. That comes off of Alex Hoppe. Not happy about the fact that he gave up 2 runs in his inning work. Edward Bizardo, pair of outs out of the bullpen Squirrels, and Framber Valdez jacked up his pitch count, but only allows 1 run over the course of 5 innings. Derek Anderson from there gives up a home run to Colt Emerson, 4th home run in the campaign. He goes 2 innings, giving up that 1 run. Tyler Olden out of the bullpen gives up a run, but Kyle Finnegan, pair of outs out of the bullpen Squirrels, and Will Vest is able to give you a shutout inning. The Boston Red Sox, they take down the New York Yankees 5-3 in the final. Yankees struggling on offense without Aaron Judge, but they did get a pair of bombs in this one off of Sonny Gray. He gives up 3 runs over the course of 6 1/3 innings as Shrink Grisham gets his 8th home run season. Ben Rice his 18th, but bullpen goes to work from there. Justin Slade and Aroldis Chapman both give you a Squirrels inning. Danny Kaloum, pair of outside the bullpen Squirrels, and Ryan Weathers, well, he tried to weather the storm, not great. 5 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. Wilson Contreras, 13th home run season. Andrew Maris-Serio, his 2nd home run of the season, and Red Sox now 17-14 away from home, and there, I believe, 11 games below 500 at home. So quite a split there for the Philadelphia Phillies. They get the job done against the Chicago White Sox. 8-6, the final. Jesus Luzardo, 5 runs allowed in 6 innings. He was still able to make sure that he didn't take a loss. He was taken deep by Randall Grichuk twice, his 5th and 6th home runs of the campaign. Derek Hill, his 4th, as Anthony Kay said, well, this was not okay. A bad start. 6 runs allowed over the course of 4 innings. Pair of bombs at Adolis Garcia and Brandon Marsh both to get their 6th home runs of the season. From there, you had Tyler Davis, Brandon Eisert, led a scoreless inning, but Brian Hudson, pair of runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning. Serenity Dominguez out of the bullpen Squirrels. Trevor Richards, a shutout inning, and then Jonathan Bolin, Brad Keller, you on it on. They're all able to give you a scoreless inning. For the San Francisco Giants, not a lot of scoreless innings out of them. 18-3, they absolutely clubbed the Chicago Cubs. Edward Cabrera, 8 runs allowed in 3 2/3 innings. Welcome back off the injury list as Willie Adames, he was able to get his 10th home run of the season. Matt Chapman, he gets his 3rd home run of the campaign. Casey Schmidt, he would get home run number 14 of the season. Then it just got worse from there as Phil Matone gives up a run in 1 1/3 innings. Hobie Milner, he gives up a home run, 6 runs in 1/3 of an inning as Willie Adames goes deep again, 11th home run of the season. And then you had Ethan Roberts allow a solo home run in his 1 2/3 innings of work as that was home run number 4 of the season for Matt Chapman. Casey Schmidt, he would go deep once again as it was the backup catcher in Carson Kelly who gives up a pair of home runs in his inning of work, but you did have Caleb Thielbar give you a scoreless inning as well, and for Schmidt that is home run number 15 of the campaign and home run number 1 of the season off of Kelly. For Jonah Cox, as for the Cubs, you did have Seiya Suzuki get his 9th home run season. That comes off of Carson Seymour in long relief. He gives up 3 runs over the course of 3 innings after Robbie Ray gives up no runs in 5 innings despite giving up 5 walks. And then you had Dylan Smith be able to lend a scoreless inning for the Giants as well. So that one was pretty wild and crazy. It's also been wild and crazy what we've seen out of the Atlanta Braves this far this season. They get the job done 6-3 over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mitch Keller walks the plank, 6 runs allowed in 4 2/3 innings. Mauricio Dubon took him deep, 6 home run season. From there, Dennis Santana, Brandon Bedoy both give you a scoreless inning. Evan 6, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless, but damage had been done for Martin Perez. Does give up 3 runs over the course of 5 innings, but bullpen is back. Didi Fuentes, Dylan Lee, Robert Suarez, Racio Iglesias, all able to turn scoreless innings. And for the Rays, they turn a whole bunch of scoreless innings. They shut out the Miami Marlins 6-0. The final, Ryan Gusto, Nome Gusto, to giving up 3 runs over the course of 2 innings. And from there, you had Tyler Phillips give up 3 runs in 4 2/3 innings. Taken deep by Cedric Mullins, 5th home run of the season. William Kepner, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Tyler Zuber, scoreless inning, but Drew Rasmussen, he was on it in this game. Won it in 7 shutout innings. Cam Boozer, Cole Sulzer from there. They give you a scoreless 8th and 9th innings to be able to get that one to the window. The Walker Texas Rangers get the job done by a count of 3-2 over the Cleveland Guardians. For the Guardians, they got a relatively good performance here from Travis Bazzana, a triple and a home run, his 4th of the campaign. That comes off of Coomer Rocker. He was really the lone guy that got to him. 2 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings for Rocker. From there, the bullpen went to work. Jacob Latz, 2 shutout innings. Jalen Beeks and Peyton Gray, they were able to combine for 2 scoreless between the 2 of them. And for Parker Messick, taken deep twice in this one. Kyle Higashioka, Higgy, can't you see that's your 4th home run for me? And Corey Seager, fresh off the injury list, he was able to get his 8th home run of the campaign for Matt Festa. From there, he gives you 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Sean Armstrong is scoreless inning, but Rangers 1 game away from 500, so they're clawing their way back. The Astros are clawing their way back as well. 5-1, they take down the Athletics. For Jack Perkins, he, in this game, goes 4 innings. He gives up 5 runs, all of which were in, including a home run. Isaac Paredes was able to get home run number 9 of the campaign. From there, the Athletics were able to do a nice job holding down the fort in their bullpen. Meanwhile, for the Houston Astros, you had a good start here from Peter Lambert. Solo home run allowed in 5 1/3 innings. Brent Rooker, 9th home run season. From there, Angel De Los Santos, 5 outside the bullpen scoreless. You had Brian King and Josh Hader be the king of both being able to give you a scoreless inning apiece. For the St. Louis Cardinals, they get a 10-3 win over the Cincinnati Reds. They were on to getting to Brady Singer, who was singing the blues. 4 runs allowed in 4 innings. Now, only 1 earned run. There were 3 errors out there in the field, and he was taken deep by Alec Burleson, 8th home run season. From there, Brock and Roberka shutout innings. Zachary Maxwell, 4 runs allowed in 1/3 of an inning. Lewis May, he gives up 2 runs in 1/3 of an inning. You did have 2 1/3 innings scoreless by the young gun and Zach McKembley, but too little too late there as Sky Leahy. He does give up 3 runs over the course of his 4 innings, and then Hunter Dobbins in super long relief. 5 shutout innings to be able to close the door on the Cincinnati Reds. Also being able to get the job done, how about the Minnesota Twins? They take down the Kansas City Royals, this by a count of 5-2, as for the Twins, they were able to have Zebby Matthews land a really good start. 2 runs allowed over the course of 7 innings. I believe they gave up both runs in the first inning, settled down. From there, Anthony Banda, a shutout inning. Travis Adams was able to close the door in the 9th inning. And for Michael Wacha, more like the dying Pac-Man voice of Michael Wacha. 5 runs, 4 of which were in 5 2/3 innings. You had from there Steven Cruz give you 4 outside the bullpen scoreless, and you did have a scoreless inning as well out of Becca Way in his MLB debut. And for Wacha, he would give up a home run in this one. It was home run number 9 of the campaign for Brooks Lee. Things got nutty out in Coors Field as the Milwaukee Brewers, in extra innings, 9-7, they get the job done. If you, like me, had the under of 11.5/12, this was just brutal. Game is 3-2 going into the top of the 9th inning. Brewers put up a 4 spot as Antonio Senzatella has been really good this season. Gives up 4 runs, 3 of which were in 1 2/3 innings. Squanders a nice start from Ryan Feldner, gave up 1 run in 6 innings. Jaden Hill from there, a shutout inning. Brendan Bernardino out of the bullpen scoreless, and then Juan Mejia in the 10th inning after the Colorado Rockies were able to get to Trevor McGill, who gives up 2 runs in the 9th inning himself after Brendan Brody gave up 3 runs over the course of 5 innings. Was taken deep. Hunter Goodman, a good man for his 16th home run season. You did have from there Brian Fitzpatrick, a scoreless inning. Craig Yoho, 2 shutout innings, but in the 10th inning, Juan Mejia, 4 runs, 3 which were given up in 1/3 of an inning for the Rockies. From there, you did have Seth Alverson give you a pair of outs on the bullpen scoreless. You had Aaron Ashby then give up 2 runs, 1 of which was given up in the 10th inning. So that was wild and crazy, but the Brewers, they do get the job done now. 15 games above 500. Dodgers, they are 18 games above 500. 1-0. They take down the LA Angels. Reed Detmers was on at 6 shutout innings. Roki Sasaki, 7 shutout innings with 10 punch-outs. Chase Silseth, Sam Bachman, they both give you a shutout inning. You had Edgar Enriquez give you a scoreless 8th inning, and then Tanner Scott, Blake Tryon, they give you a scoreless 9th for the LA Dodgers, as just didn't get a lot of hits in this game. The difference maker, Freddie Freeman, walk-off home run against Kirby Yates, 10th home run season. He was the first batter of the inning, and for both teams, just 3 hits in this one. Washington Nationals had way more than that. How about 14-1, absolutely destroying the Arizona Diamondbacks? Merrill Kelly, 7 runs given up in 5 innings, including a trio of bombs for Luis Garcia. He gets his 6th home run of the campaign. You had Dallin Lyle get his 8th, and James Goodwood for his 17th home run of the season from there. How about 5 runs given up with 4 outs out of the bullpen from Philip Abner? He gives up another home run to Mr. Luis Garcia. Grand slam, 7th home run season. CJ Abrams, 13th home run season. From there, you did have Anthony Del Castro, the backup catcher, gave you a 1 2/3 innings. He gives up a run. Cade Stout, he comes in for an inning. He gives up a run, and Foster Griffin. Good start here for the Washington Nationals. 1 run allowed in 5 innings as he was taking deep home run number 1 of the season from Aramis Garcia. From there, you were able to get a pair of shutout innings for Paxton Schultz. Same goes for Cole Henry, and for the Nationals, back to 500, 32-32. And for the New York Mets, they are a long ways away from 500, but hey, they do get the job done against the Slam Diego Padres. 5-0 the final. Great Scott. This was a good start from Christian Scott. 5 2/3 innings scoreless. Oscar Brisbane. 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Luke Weaver, AJ Minter. They both on the scoreless setting. And then Michael King. Well, he was not the king on this night. 4 runs allowed, given up in 6 innings. Pair of bombs. Lewis Torrance, first home run season. Jacob Young, his 3rd. From there, you had 2 shutout innings. David Morgan, Mason Miller. He gives up a run in 2/3 of an inning. Raises his ERA to 105. Yuki Matsui. Low key, 0.53 ERA. He was able to give you an out of the bullpen scoreless. And if you're looking at what we're getting in Major League Baseball right now, how about the overs that we have been seeing recently? Overall for the season, the over rate a little bit above 51%, 51.3%, 473 overs, 449 unders, and 25 pushes along the way. And favorites on the money line hitting at 55.2%. 508 and 412 on the money line. Among those 508 favorites, now 119 have failed to cover the run line in over the last 7 days. Favorites are hitting at 50-50, 45 and 45 on the money line, with a whopping 11 of them not covering the run line. Meanwhile, the over rate of Major League Baseball over the last 7 days, 60%, 54 overs, 36 unders, and a push along the way. That's what we're seeing in baseball right now. That's what we're getting trend-wise. Coming next, let's chat it up with our good friend Curtis Rogers over there at 710 Seattle Sports, the pre- and post-game host of the Seattle Mariners. Joins me next right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the VSiN Family Podcast.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by this man, as we've got Curtis Rogers aboard, who does such great work over at 710 Seattle Sports. He is a pre- and post-game host for the Seattle Mariners on the radio side of things, doing an incredible job looking at this great game of baseball. Also does a great job just in general looking at the Pacific Northwest and Seattle sports landscape in general, as I know that he's taking a look at the Seattle Seahawks, what we're getting in college basketball, and so much more. You're able to follow him on Instagram and Twitter/X at A Kid From Kent altogether. And Curtis, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Always happy to hop on with you. And yeah, we're past the 60-game marker now. A lot of teams have less than 100 games to go. We're getting closer and closer to the All-Star break. It's been a really fun first half so far, and lots to get to across both the American and National League here.
Yep, absolutely. And with the Seattle Mariners, they're back above 500. I know that I talked with you last week about what has really allowed them to be able to get back rocking and rolling. And how do you take a look at this Mariners team now? Because for the Seattle Mariners, what I think has been so interesting with this team, I don't recognize that they did lose the game on Friday, but it does feel like they've just had really good bullpen pitching outside of, ironically enough, Andres Munoz in general. And it really feels like the pitching has just been able to keep this team afloat.
Yeah, the pitching has really stepped up. Even with the loss to the Tigers on Friday, the Mariners had won 8 of their last 10, including that ball game. And a lot of it has to do with the pitching, for sure. I mean, the starting pitching has been really rock steady, but also you mentioned that bullpen, and it helps that they've got 2 high leverage arms back in Gabe Spire and Matt Brash, both guys missing time with injury in the season's first couple of months. They're back, and Brash has been exceptional this year, an ERA under 1. He's been really a huge piece to that bullpen when healthy. Jose Ferrer has been a nice pickup for them as well. They got him in an offseason trade with the Nationals. He's become a really, really effective lefty out of the bullpen. You mentioned Andres Munoz. Yeah, he has definitely coughed up some games this year, no doubt about it, but hopefully he can get right, because if he can get right, then all of a sudden these games that, you turn over to the bullpen, you're not going to have to worry about so much. But you look at the pitching staff, Emerson Hancock has been a revelation this year for the Mariners. he's actually kind of responsible for why the Mariners are going with 6 starting pitchers rather than a traditional 5-man rotation. So he's been a revelation this year as well for the Mariners starting rotation. Everybody else kind of the same from what you get every single year. Luis Castillo's been down, but he has really improved when they have started to piggyback on Bryce Miller. They're going to a 6-man rotation right now, so should be interesting to see how he responds. But all in all, Mariners pitching in pretty good shape heading into the season's middle portion.
Yep, absolutely. And it is going to be interesting to see what happens on Saturday because Bryce Miller is getting the start. And I know that you mentioned this. They were going with Bryce Miller piggybacking off of Luis Castillo. It seems like they've got a busy stretch because you mentioned it. They're going to a 6-man rotation now. And just how much do you think that that's going to be impacting these two guys? Because I feel like that might have been perfect for Bryce Miller to be able to get his feet wet. He was coming off the injury list, so took a little bit of stress off of him. Now they really do need him to be the guy, though.
Yeah, and they need him to go pretty deep into ball games with this whole piggyback situation. He's not gone longer than 5 2/3 in any of those outings. But with what the Mariners' schedule looks like right now, they've got a stretch of 16 games in 17 days. So I think that was a big reason why they went with the 6-man rotation, just to give guys like Brian Wu and George Kirby and Logan Gilbert and Emerson Hancock just one extra day of rest throughout this stretch of about 2.5 weeks worth of games, which I think is a good thing, especially guys like Emerson Hancock, who his workload is going to probably ratchet up here in this season, especially with how good he has been. His importance to the Mariners rotation has increased significantly, and he's going to be asked to pitch a lot more. Same with guys like Brian Wu. Wu last year broke down at the end of the season, had that pec injury that really limited him in the playoffs. Didn't make a start, made a couple of relief appearances in the ALCS, but he was very limited. We've seen Logan Gilbert spend time on the IL in the last couple of years. Same with George Kirby. So I think it is going to be imperative that the Mariners get those guys as much rest and recuperation as possible over the course of this season, especially if they're going to end up back in the playoffs. Now, we're still a long way away from that happening, but I think what the Mariners are doing right now is hopefully kind of going easy on these guys in hopes that at the end of the year, they'll have enough energy stored up to where they can exert themselves a lot more than what we saw a year ago, where the Mariners starting pitching pretty much broke down in that ALCS. They did not have an effective series against that Blue Jays lineup. Hopefully this year we can see those arms stay fresher deeper into the year.
No doubt about it. Right now they're really rocking and rolling. We'll see if that's going to be the case moving forward, as we've got our good friend Curtis Rogers over at 710 Seattle Sports joining me on the Baseball Betting Show. And no doubt, when it comes to the Seattle Mariners, it's been a nice run for them, but it really feels like we've had to come up with a lot of these AL West teams. I mean, the Athletics were about an inning away from being able to sweep the Chicago Cubs. The Astros are all of a sudden showing a little bit of a sign of life as well. The Rangers are just a game below 500, and, well, then you've got the Angels. No, we could say that is about all that we need to say about the LA Angels right now, but how do you take a look at the AL West? Because it feels like things have gotten a little bit more interesting, and if you have a series against the LA Angels, boy, you better win that series.
It's funny because the Mariners and Rangers have been two of the hottest teams in the American League right now, and not to say that what they have done is, light the world on fire or anything like that, but it kind of goes to show just how backwards things have been in the American League. In gain over the course of like a 10-game stretch, the Mariners have gained 5 games on the A's. You look at the Astros, they're 5-5 over their last 10 games, but have gained 2 games on the A's. Like, they're climbing, really high here over the last couple of weeks. I mean, 4.5 back. The Astros are 2.5 back. The A's are a game and a half back. The Rangers are. So definitely, still up for grabs in that AL West. Am I writing off the Astros? I wouldn't do it quite yet. I mean, you look at just kind of how they've played as of late, keeping an eye on them for sure. I think every team in the American League West should keep an eye on them. But I think this Astros team, all in all, their pitching just is not where it has been historically. And I kind of wonder if maybe that is a team that if they look at just kind of what their ceiling could be this year, I don't think their ceiling is any higher than maybe like a third wild card this year. I get that, getting to the playoffs is an accomplishment. Once you're there, anything can happen, but I just don't see it from this Astros team this year. Really, I mean, still, the only team that I kind of see it from is the Mariners, because when they're at full strength, I think they're the best team in the AL West. The problem is they have not been at full strength at any portion of this season. Now, they are getting Cal Raleigh back soon. He has just started a rehab assignment this weekend, so we'll see just how soon he'll be back. Brendan Donovan, I'm sure, will be back at some point this season, but those are two big bats in the Mariners starting lineup. They were two big bats on opening day. Those guys are soon to be back. I feel like with them in the lineup, the Mariners are the team that I would take most serious of the five in the AL West.
Yep, and I mean, the AL West is suffering really through what we're seeing in the entirety of the American League as well, because it just feels like the entire American League just isn't very good this year. For the Yankees, they're now without Aaron Judge for quite a while. They have been free-falling. The Rays were able to get back online on Friday, but I believe they've lost 8 out of their last 11 games. The Cleveland Guardians, they're your third best team right now in the American League. They're not scaring anyone. The Chicago White Sox are right now a top 6 team in the American League. Just how do you take a look at this entire American League? Because it just feels like disappointment after disappointment, and someone needs to win these games at some point.
Yeah, and well, how about the injury to Aaron Judge? I mean, that stress fracture is going to sideline him for at least 4 to 6 weeks. That's when they're going to re-examine him. Who knows how much longer he'll miss after that 6 weeks is up. But with a 4 to 6 week time frame, you're looking at post All-Star break when you get Aaron Judge back at the very best. So I think right now that injury leaves everything so high up in the air in the American League. Yes, have the pitching, I think, to withstand a loss like that. And I think their lineup also is still pretty good even without Aaron Judge. But like that is one of the biggest difference makers, if not the biggest difference making bat in all of baseball outside of maybe Shohei Ohtani. So everything right now in the American League, Greg, there is no clear-cut favorite at all. Even the Rays, who hold the best record in the American League, their run differential is not great. It's barely over even. They're at plus 11 right now, and they just got swept by the Tigers. So it's not like they're really running away with things either. So this American League, I have never seen it as down and as wide open as it is at this current moment. It is shocking just to see how really no one right now is just like, yeah, we'll step forward and be the best team. So, maybe if there's a team kind of lurking, you mentioned the White Sox. I'm not saying that they're the best team in the American League, but there's definitely a door left open for a team like that to sneak through if they want to make some noise.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, forget about a team stepping up to say that they're going to be the best. Just good teams is what we're looking for in the American League right now. And is there one or two that you think can ascend right now? So that throws out the Yankees and the Rays, who I still think that they're the top 2 teams in the American League as of right now. Certainly record-wise they are. But is there a team or two that you have your eye on and you think, man, maybe they can be a team that's above 500. Maybe they can make a little bit of a surge?
Well, I mean, they have one of the worst records in the American League right now, but I'm not keeping my eye off of the Detroit Tigers, especially with Tarek Skubal going out on a rehab assignment. I think that is definitely a situation worth monitoring. They have not gotten great starting pitching. Jack Flaherty has been awful this year for the Tigers, but I feel like if Skubal is back and is starting every 5th day, that gives them a huge lift, potentially in that American League Central. I know they're 9.5 back as of Friday night, but I still think there's a long way to go in the season. And I mean, who in the American League has really shown themselves to be a contender this year? Not many teams have. And so I think the Tigers, even with as bad of a start to the season as they have had, I'm not willing to throw dirt on them just because they've been there the last couple of years. They've brought back most of those teams. They also have added Kevin McGonigal, who has been everything they could have hoped for and more. I think the Tigers are a team, Greg, that even with as bad as it has been, 12 games under 500, 26-38, barely above a 400 win percentage, I think it would be a fool's errand to write them off right now, especially when you have the best starting pitcher in the American League working his way back from injury.
That would be incredibly foolish. What else would be foolish is ever turning down an interview with you, Curtis, because you do such a great job looking at this great game of baseball. You're doing a great job on the college basketball front, everything out there in the Pacific Northwest. You're an ace, my friend. Let the good people at home know it's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff coming out. Also, earlier this week, had a conversation with Baseball America's J.J. Cooper talking about the Mariners farm system. 3 guys in Baseball America's top 10 Cole Emerson soon to graduate from that list as he's already hit 4 home runs at the big league level. He's been everything as advertised in his short cup of coffee at the big league level, but there's a couple other names worth paying attention to as well. So that conversation's up at seattlesports.com, Seattle Sports YouTube page, Seattle Sports app, wherever it is, that's where you can get it. And also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Howdy, Kid from Kent. And Greg, always happy to hop on with you, talk some baseball, no matter the time of year, and I look forward to our next conversation.
No doubt about it. Always great to be joined by Curtis. He's doing an amazing job looking at this great sport of baseball, and every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights. So big thanks to Curtis for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming up next, it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this baseball Saturday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Curtis Rogers, who does such great work over at 710 Seattle Sports, looking at this great game that we all know and love of baseball as a pre- and post-game host for the Seattle Mariners. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights, and he did so once again today. So a big thanks to our guy Curtis for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this baseball Saturday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at @Junit_81, and we're going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first in time order, then the American League games in time order, any interleague games, those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. How about if we get things started? This is 901, 902 on the card. The Cincinnati Reds, yes, we're on to Cincinnati. They're on the road. They're facing off against the St. Louis Cardinals. Matthew Liberatore is on the bump for the Cards. Nick Lodolo goes for the Reds, and the Reds do find themselves as an underdog here between plus 108 to plus 113, minus 123 to minus 135. That's your number on St. Louis with a total of 9.5. Unders minus 105 to a minus 120. Meanwhile, the over is between minus 115 and even money, and I'm in on the Cardinals. Set them at a minus 126. I have a pair of pitchers that have not been themselves this far this season that I do see a little bit of positivity with. Maybe not like a Gobtum, but Nick Lodolo, 5.20 ERA, 6.75 fielding, depending, giving up 2.3 home runs, 4.2 walks per 9 innings. But keep in mind, he had a 3.33 ERA last season. He has given up 3 earned runs or fewer in each out of his last 3 starts. Matthew Liberatore, 4.35 ERA, 1.5 home runs, 3.3 walks per 9 innings. But gets a face-off against the Reds team that has been meh with regards to their offense. 15th in the league in terms of run creation. Now, getting back in Eugenio Suarez should be able to help out. He's been able to, in the past, just really supply power. He had last season those 49 home runs, and you've had cousin Sal Stewart do a nice job, move the line, as he's got the most won challenges in all of baseball thus far this season, and he's been able to give you 12 bombs over a 340 on base. But Ellie De La Cruz remains out for this team. That hurts here. JJ Bleday has stepped up over a 375 on base. He's up to 10 home runs. Nathaniel Lowe has been able to get low with 9 home runs, but these guys at the bottom of the lineup, the shortstop spot, Navoli Marte, Tyler Stevenson, and Brian Hayes on the injury list, that helps out. That's been an issue for you. Meanwhile, for the St. Louis Cardinals, you've got JJ Weatherholt, who maybe doesn't have the world's greatest average, but he just continues to move the line for the team. He's been able to give you over a 350 on base. Alec Burleson on par with that as well. Now, for the Cardinals, your main matcher has been Jordan Walker. Pretty much nobody else in the starting lineup yesterday above 7 home runs, but 15 bombs. He's been able to about a 290. Need a little bit more of these guys like Nolan Gorman, Victor Scott at the bottom of the lineup, but now they're getting back Lars Nootbaar as well. And for the Reds, they have completely toilet bowled with their bullpen. Like, this team was number 1 in terms of bullpen ERA through the first month of the season, and now they're in the bottom 5. But getting back Caleb Ferguson should be able to help. You have Pierce Johnson, Emilio Began on the injury list, but Brock Norberg, Sam Moll, these are guys give you a sub-4 ERA. Lewis May, I think, has a little bit of upside. They recalled him from the minors. And for the St. Louis Cardinals, Jojo Romero has been able to give you a sub-350 ERA, and then they sent Matt Savanson down to the minor leagues. That's good because he was absolutely terrible, and actually gotten a little bit of something out of George Soriano. So with the Cardinals, do think that they find a way to get the job done. Well, play up to minus 125 on the money line, like the under as well. Somebody tell that at 8.7. 903, 904 on the card. It's the Cubs. They're going to be playing us to the San Francisco Giants. Landon Roop is on the bump for the Giants, and one Mr. Ben Brown is on the bump for the Cubs. And the Cubs are between minus 138 to minus 145 favorites, plus 118 to plus 125 is that number on San Francisco with a total of 8.5. Under is minus 115, and the over is minus 105. I do like this total to the under. I set my total at 7.9. If you take a look at the Wrigley Field win situation, it's going to be a little bit more directional. Not really blowing out, not really blowing in. Like towards the wee early hours of the morning, it's going to be blowing out. By the time first pitch rolls around, it's going to be blowing a little bit more inward. So you've got a lot of rotating wind, for lack of a better term. I think the pitchers are going to be fine in this game. Landon Roop, by the way, has pitched much better than the ERA would indicate. Right now for Landon Roop, he's got a pretty high 4.22 ERA, but 282 fielding dependent, 10.1 strikeouts per 9 innings, giving up to 0.4 home runs per 9 innings. All of a sudden, by the way, the Giants have gone on an absolute tear now. They entered into the day on Friday, 26th in the league in terms of run creation. You take a look at what they've done ever since that 19-run absolute outburst against the Colorado Rockies, which I don't know where that quite came from. They put up, if my math serves me correct, 55 runs since Sunday. I do think that this is going to cool down a little bit. They are getting more out of the likes of Rafael Devers, Willie Adames, who have been big, giant waste of money for this team. They are both hitting now above a 245, and for Adames, he's up to 11 home runs this season. You still have a single-figure amount of homers for Rafael Devers, but it's really been Casey Schmidt who's been able to step up for this team as well. How about 15 home runs? He's been able to get hit about a 295. Luis Rise continues to move line. He's hitting above 300. You get back Jungle Lee, he's also hitting above 300, and you've been able to get quite a bit out of the catcher spot with Daniel Sucic doing a solid job as well. But again, I think that these guys are going to play a little bit more to what we saw towards the beginning part of the season, went 6 of 10 with men in scoring position yesterday. And for the Giants, about a league average team in terms of bullpen area. Tristan Beck has been shaky since coming off the injury list, but Keaton Wynn, Sam Entiges, JT Brubaker, these are guys that are going to give you a sub 350 ERA. Caleb Killian has been acting up a little bit, still about a 358 ERA this season, and he's actually a former Chicago Cub. Meanwhile, for the Cubs, they entered into yesterday a top 8 team in terms of bullpen ERA. They've had the likes of Jacob Webb, Hobie Milner, Daniel Palencia give you a sub 350 ERA. Caleb Theobar has been solid since coming off the injury list, more like a 377 there. And for the Cubs, it does feel like situational hitting just really eludes this team. Ian Happ has not been hapless, 14 home runs this season. Only guy with a double-figure amount of homers this season. We've seen Pete Armstrong look a little bit better. 335 on base, 9 home runs. That's going to play. And then you've got a lot of guys that are hovering in between, I would say, about a 333 to a 350 on base. Happ is one of those guys. Say Suzuki, Nico Horner, Alex Bregman, Miguel Amaya whenever he's out there. So, I mean, it's been a little bit of mix and match there. And I do think that Ben Brown really keeps things rocking and rolling. This guy's been incredible this far this season. Maybe doesn't give you the world's greatest amount in length, but 192 ERA, 0.2 home runs allowed per 9 innings. He's getting in the neighborhood about 8 to 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. So set the Cubs here to minus 148. Like them on the money line and like the under. Semi-total 7.9, 905, 906 on the card. The Pirates are going to be on the road against the Braves. Spencer Strider goes for the Bravos. Braxton Ashcraft hopes to not be a load of Ashcraft for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, a slim underdog of between even money to minus 105, minus 110 to a minus 116 is that number on Atlanta. 8.5 is the total, over and under anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115. And I do like the under. I did set my total at an 8.3. Braxton Ashcraft has been really good for the Pirates as far this season, posting up a ERA right around about a 277. He's getting 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's giving up less than 1 home run per 9 innings. Now he is facing off against an Atlanta Braves team that they themselves have been absolutely superb this far this season. They're averaging about 5.2 runs per game. That's a top 3 mark in all of baseball. They actually have been a little bit worse with their offense when they've been at home rather than away from home. I've actually seen that with a lot of the top offenses in the league. 4.4 runs per game at home for the Braves, more like 6 runs per game away from them. But Pirates have that same divide. For the Pirates, they're 4th in the league with about 5.2 runs per game themselves, 5.6 runs per game at home, closer to 4.7 runs per game away from home. And Spencer Strider has had a little bit of an issue giving up the deep ball, about 1.7 home runs per 9 innings, 377 ERA this far this season, and the 4 walks per 9, that's a little bit concerning, but the swing and miss stuff is back. He's back over 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, and he's backed up by a bullpen that has been so good. Racio Iglesias and Robert Suarez have been such a great 9th and 8th inning duo. Both of these guys give you a sub 250 ERA. You've also had Dylan Lee be nails in this bullpen as well. Tyler Kinley sacked it up a little bit, but even the Doddfather, Dylan Dodd, has been pretty solid for the Braves. They are dealing with the injury to Drake Baldwin, but still doing a nice job moving the line. Matt Olson is on pace for 40 plus bombs. He's made with about a 270. Mauricio Dubon continues to hit for the team. He's hitting a 255. He went deep yesterday. Ronald Acuna Jr., 5 home runs over the last 12 or so days. That's got him back online. Heck, you're getting Dom Smith hitting a 300 right now. And on the flip side for the Pirates, main two boom guys have been Oneil Cruz and Brandon Lau. They've been able to give you 14 plus home runs apiece, and then got Brian Reynolds, who's been able to give you about a 395 on base. Nick Gonzalez is hitting above 300, so plenty of guys move the line. Spencer Horwitz, he's been able to give you about a 385 on base as well, so these guys have been very rock solid. And for the Pirates, where their main deficiency comes in, they have been in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. You've had Gregory Soto actually be really good in this bullpen, but Dennis Santana, north of 4 ERA. So bad for Justin Lawrence that he's not on the team anymore. Evan Cisco, he's been able to give you a sub 3 ERA, but Yohan Ramirez has been a little bit rough. Getting Carmen Mulzinski out of the starting rotation in the bullpen should be able to lend these guys a little bit of relief. That said, I do think that you're going to have the Atlanta Braves find a way to be able to get the job done here. Set them at a minus 153, so taking the Braves on the money line. I do like the 8 after the under. Semi-total at 8.3, 907, 908 on the card. It's the Washington Nationals on the road against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Eduardo Rodriguez goes for the Saints. Zach Littell is on the bump for Washington, and we're between a plus 135 to a plus 140 underdog. Meanwhile, minus 155 to minus 165. That's your number on Arizona. 9 is the total. Over is minus 110 to a minus 115. Under is minus 105 to a minus 110. And for the Diamondbacks, set their money line price here at a minus 145. If you're looking to lay a run half with them, you're going to be finding that more in that neighborhood about a plus 125, plus 135, and I would be willing to take a plus 135 on the run line, set mine at a plus 134. For Zach Littell, he's just been getting absolutely tattooed thus far this season. As a matter of fact, he's very lucky that his ERA is out worse than what it is right now. He's been posting up an ERA that has been in the neighborhood about a 5.05, but that said, fielding dependent is a 622, 2.3 home runs per 9 innings, 5.3 strikeouts per 9, so certainly has a lot of cleanup to be doing there. And you've got a guy in Eduardo Rodriguez who has a low 224 ERA, fielding dependent, that is a 364, 6.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's giving up 3.2 walks per 9, has been able to keep the ball in the yard, but now you go up against Washington Nationals team that is number 1 in the big leagues in terms of run creation. Main two guys have been James Wood along CJ Abrams. Both of these guys have been able to give you 12 plus home runs. In the case of Wood, over a 400 on base, over a 380 on base for CJ Abrams, but we're noticing other guys stepping up for the team, like a Curtis Mead is up to 8 home runs. He's been able to give you over a 330 on base. Dylan Cruz, small sample size, we'll see if he's able to rise up this season after a miserable year last year, but Dal Miles sitting like a 250, Luis Garcia's moving line, Keeper Ruiz doesn't draw walks, but he finds way on base as well. And then on the other end for the Diamondbacks, last year they were top 16 in terms of run creation. Not quite there this season, but you do have Ketel Marte starting to heat up. The Marte Parte is up to 10 home runs, so you'd love to see that. And then Corbin Carroll, Nolan Arenado, 8 and 9 home runs apiece. Arenado's above a 325 on base. Carroll continues to give you over a 375 on base. And the big key here is getting someone like a Geraldo Perdomo online. It's been a rough season for him. Guys at the bottom of the lineup have been a little bit rough, and for the Arizona Diamondbacks, about a league average team in terms of bullpen ERA. It's been getting better as the season goes along. The likes of Juan Barrio, Ryan Thompson, even Kevin Ginkel have been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. I believe that Taylor Clark is going to be out for this game. Looks like he's on the bereavement list, but Paul Sewell, guy that I really don't trust him. Meanwhile, for the Washington Nationals, they do continue to be a bottom 7 team in terms of bullpen ERA, even though you've been able to get guys like Clayton Beater, Richard Diffke, Lovelady to be able to give you a sub 4 ERA. And Orlando Rebalto's been really good as well, but Mitchell Parker, Paxton Schultz, got a lot of guys that are untrustworthy for this bunch, so I do think that for the Saints, they do get to Littell here, plus 135 or better, looking at that run line, and like the over, semi-total 9.7, 909, 910 on the card. It's the Brewers. They're going to be on the road against the Rockies, as Tanner Gordon is on the bump for the Rockies, and Jacob Mizorowski, the Miz, is on the bump for the Brewers. So on this game, it is 10.5 over and under, both at minus 110. Brewers are Mondo favorites, minus 245 to minus 260, plus $2, a plus 210. That number on the Rockies, if you're looking to lay a run half with the Brewers, finding as low as a minus 140 out there, as high as a minus 164. Can't really advocate for the minus 164. I just set mine at a minus 153. That minus 140 that I'm seeing at the Superbook is calling my name. I'm going to take a shot on that run line. And Mizorowski has just been absolutely tremendous thus far this season. For Mizorowski, he's got over 13 strikeouts per 9 innings. That has really honed in on the command as well. 2.4 walks while getting 13.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's absolutely insane. 165 ERA, 185 fielding dependent, half home run allowed per 9 innings. Now, Coors and elevation, it's going to do some funky bunch things to you. And for the Milwaukee Brewers, it's been a little bit up and down for them over the last week or so, but still, I really love what he's able to bring to the table. And for the Brewers, this is a team that is able to generate offense without the deep ball. One guy on the roster that was giving you over 7 home runs going into yesterday for the Brewers is Jake Bowers. About a 350 on base, 10 home runs. Bryce Terang has been able to give you 7 bombs. He gives you nearly a 400 on base. Jackson Chourio Gurriel, Christian Yelich. These guys move line, hitting above a 285 since coming off the injury list. Andrew Vaughn, he's been in and out, but when you've had him in there, he's been able to do a solid job. So I absolutely love the way that this team just nickels and dimes you to death. And for the Colorado Rockies, really the lone guy that's giving you over 8 home runs as far as this season that's healthy, because Mickey Moniak has been dealing with injury. Hunter Goodman, 15 home runs, hitting for about a 245. That's relatively respectable. And you've got guys that are moving line, like Troy Johnson, Jake McCarthy, TJ Brownfield, Tristan Freeman. These are guys hitting above a 275. That bottom of the lineup, though, with the likes of Ezekiel Tovar, Sterling Thompson is someone that they're giving some at-bats to. Eduardo Julian. You've got a lot of guys you can get 225 or lower, and for the Rockies, it has been a rocky bullpen. Antonio Senzatel's has actually been great. He's been able to give you a sub-2 ERA. I don't know where this has come from, but that said, you've got a lot of guys that are hovering in that neighborhood of like a 4 ERA. Seth Alverson, Brendan Bernardino, and you did have Juan Mejia there, but Juan Mejia has really hit the toilet bowl recently. He's back above a 5 ERA. Jaden Hill continues to be relatively solid. Meanwhile, for the Milwaukee Brewers, even though it was a shaky start to the season for the likes of Trevor McGill along with Abner Uribe, they're starting to round into form. Chad Patrick going into the bullpen lends a lot of nice relief for this team. Aaron Ashby has been able to give you sub 350 ERA. And when it comes to Tanner Gordon for the Colorado Rockies, I think that this is where you get your over, because, man, it has not been great for him, to say the least, with our good friend and Mr. Gordon. He's actually up in terms of his swing and miss stuff. He's getting in the neighborhood about 9 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 1.5 home runs allowed per 9 innings, 637 ERA, a career 689 ERA with 2 home runs allowed per 9 innings. Going the wrong way down a one-way street there for the Brewers. Willing to lay up to minus 152 on that run line, and I like the 10.5 over, so I told 10.7. 9-11, 9-12 on the card. It's the Mets are going to be on the road against the Padres. Griffin Canning is on the bump for the Pods. Noel McLean is on the bump for the Metropolitans, and the Mets who find themselves between minus 115 to minus 126 favorites, between even money to plus 108. Then over on the Padres, 7.5 to 8 is the total. On the 8, under is minus 115, over is minus 105. On the 7.5, over is minus 115, under is minus 105, and I'm in on the under. I did set my total, and it's 7.2 for Noel McLean. It's been bit shaky for him recently with Mr. McLean. Right now, overall for the season, 421 ERA, 10.4 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 20 total runs, 18 of which earned, allowed in his last 4 starts. He's starting to give up the deep ball a little bit more. Fielding independence still a little bit lower than that 421 ERA, but it is starting to rise. In Griffin Canning, it's been a miserable start to the season for him. 7.16 ERA, he's given up 2 home runs per 9 innings, but he has given up 3 runs or fewer in each out of his last 3 starts, so he's starting to round into form a little bit more there, and he does get to face off against a Mets lineup that are currently 29th out of 30 teams in terms of road run creation. With the Mets, you've got Juan Soto, who's been able to do an incredible job, giving you 13 home runs, over a 375 on base. But where's the rest of the offense? He's pretty much the only guy on the roster that's giving you 7+ home runs as far this season. Marcus Semien, Bubba Shedd are both hitting below a 230 after a nice start. AJ Ewan is starting to come back to earth a little bit, and he's pretty much like the only guy other than Soto that typically gives you a 320 on base and is seeing meaningful at-bats right now. So, this team has just been absolutely lost. Jacob Young, in a small sample size, has been relatively okay as well, but less than 50 at-bats out of him. Meanwhile, for the Padres, they themselves are dealing with some offensive woes. Fernando Tatis Jr. actually getting on base. He's giving you about a 340 on base. 1 home run going into yesterday. He's on pace for 3 this far this season. The entire catcher spot has been an albatross. Xander Bogaerts has went down the toilet bowl. Jackson Merrill, he's hitting for about a 215. Ramon Laureano looks like he's out for the year. Manny Machado does have 11 home runs, but he's hitting about 75. Gavin Sheets, holy Sheets, he's may able to give you something, but I do like this Padres bullpen. They're a top 6 team in terms of ERA. Jason Adam, Mason Miller, these guys are giving you a sub 225 ERA. Been a little bit of a trying season for Audrey Morejon, but Wandy Peralta, Yuki Matsui have been great, and for Matsui, low-key sub 1 ERA going into yesterday. And for the New York Mets, they've been able to do a solid job with their bullpen as well. Devin Williams continues to be a disaster, but Luke Weaver, after a shaky start to the season, down below 3 ERA. You get AJ Mitchell off the injury list, Austin Warren, Brooks Raley, Oscar Brisbane. These are guys that have been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. Warren is below a 2 ERA right now, so that's been solid. So do think they get a lower scoring game. So I told 7.2, like the under, set the Padres at a minus 117, taking the Pods on the money line, 913, 914 on the card. The Mariners are on the road against the Tigers. Gadiel Montero is on the bump for the Tigres, and you've got one Mr. Bryce Miller going for Seattle. Seattle does find themselves between minus 128 to minus 136 favorites, and between plus 113 to plus 118 is that number on Detroit. 8.5 is the total. Over and under anywhere between minus 105 to minus 115, and this is a game where I'm going to take a shot on the under. Somebody tell it at 8.2. Bryce Miller has looked really good this year. They've been having him piggyback off of Luis Castillo. It seems like they're not going to do that for the next few weeks because they have a stretch where they're just going to need a sixth starter because they don't have a lot of days off. We got that information from our good friend Curtis Rogers. But that said, with Bryce Miller, 1.71 ERA in his 4 total appearances thus far this season, 0.9 home runs, 1.3 walks per 9 innings. He always has had some very demonstrative home and road splits, so you want to have your just trepidations there with Bryce Miller. This is for the entirety of his career, not just this season or anything like that. 3.19 career home ERA, 4.71 ERA on the road, and on the road he has been giving up in that neighborhood about 1.5 home runs per 9 innings. Meanwhile, got a guy in Montero who's been very much improved thus far this season. For Montero, he's not a guy that's going to go out there and get you a lot of swing and miss, but 3.69 ERA, 6.3 strikeouts at 2.2 walks per 9 innings. Really cut down on giving up the deep ball. He's only giving up right around about 1 home run per 9 innings, and for the Detroit Tigers, right around about 18th or 19th in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. They have been very much hurt by injuries. Will Vest, he's dealt with injury throughout the entirety of the season, and when he's been out there, he's been relatively miserable thus far this season. They currently have Brendan Hennepy dealing with a little bit of injury as well, and I know that Birch Smith is right now dealing with a lot of ailment as well, so they are going to need to find some long relievers. But that said, you've been able to get some relatively good innings out of Tyler Holton when he's been out there as well, so that's been able to help the team out. And for the Tigers, they are finally getting healthier with regards to their lineup, as you've had the likes of a Wencio Perez, Matt Vierling, along with Jamal Jones, a lot of guys hitting at 225 or lower. Now you're getting them out of there because you've got Gleyber Torres back in the fold, who's been able to give you over a 350 on base. You've got Gary Carpenter back. He was off to a little bit of a rough start to the season, but 20 plus bombs last season. Dylan Dingler has been your main boom man for the team. 14 home runs, hitting about a 240. Spencer Torkelson, 8 home runs, and he's hitting like a 215. It's been a little bit better here recently. And then for Kevin McGonigal, Riley Green, they both give you above a 375 on base. Not a lot of boom out of those guys either. And for the Seattle Mariners, it's been a little bit of an up and down season with regards to lineup as well. Obviously not having Cal Raleigh out there has hurt them. And for JP Crawford, he hits just a 228, but 9 plus home runs, 355 on base. That'll play. Randy Arozarena about a 360 on base. Julio Rodriguez, double figure mound bombs. He's hitting a 260. And Colt Emerson, he went deep yesterday. It looks like that's paying off for this team. And for the Seattle Mariners, this has been a pretty incredible bullpen. If they don't go with Luis Castillo in a piggyback spot, which I do not think that they are going to here, got the likes of Jose Ferrer, Gabe Spire, Edward Bazardo, Matt Brash. I'll give you a sub-3 ERA. Cooper Criswell has been in that neighborhood as well. Andres Munoz, after a shaky start to the season, starting to round into form. So do think they get a lower scoring game. I do like the under, so I tell it at 8.2 with the Seattle Mariners. Set their money line price here at a minus 128. Right now we're seeing approximately a minus 128. My max lay there to go along with the under. 915, 916 on the card. The Minnesota Twins, the state with the small strengths in the union. Minnesota plays host to the Kansas City Royals. Luinder Avila is on the bum for the Royals, and Joe Ryan goes for Minnesota. Minnesota's anywhere between minus 145 to a minus 156, plus 130 to plus 125. That number on Kansas City. 8 to 8.5 is the total on the 8.5. Under is minus 115. The over is minus 105 on the 8. Over is minus 115. Under is minus 105. And for the Twins, I set their money line price at a minus 184. Find that run line price right around plus 140, plus 145, and I'm going to trust in the run line. Got a Kansas City Royals lineup that is dead sinking last in terms of run creation away from home, averaging about 3.5 runs per game. And for Joe Ryan, he continues to be masterful. He's giving you about 10.1, 10.2 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's giving up fewer than 2 walks per 9 innings. He's doing an incredible job keeping the ball in the yard, giving up less than 1 home run per 9 innings. So I really like what I've seen out of him. And then for Luinder Avila, about a 4.44 ERA, but a lower 4.07 fielding dependent. He is giving up the 5.5 walks per 9 innings, and recognize that it's a smaller sample size of innings because he spent a lot of time out there in the bullpen, but 0.5 home runs, 8.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. So that'll help you out. Now for the Kansas City Royals team, they continue to be in the bottom 5 in terms of bullpen ERA. Just not great, to say the least, on that front, as they've been dealing with the injury to Carlos Estevez all season long. They've had Matt Strom in and out of that bullpen as well. You've been able to get good innings out of Daniel Lynch, who's been able to give you a sub-3 ERA, but I ain't past that. Steven Cruz has been a little bit of an issue. Alex Lang, they've been trying him out at the closer's role. He still has an ERA above a 4. He's been a little bit better recently, and when it comes to this Royals lineup, Bobby Witt Jr., he's been able to give you 9 home runs at about a 355 on base, so he's been relatively solid there. Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino combined 15 home runs going into yesterday. Both of these guys hitting at 210 or lower going into yesterday. Pasquantino about a 300 on base, 258 for Salvador Perez. That's just not going to play. Miguel Garcia's moved the line, hitting about a 270, but he's right now a little bit banged up. Likes of Isaac Collins, Carter Jensen are hitting about a 215. They've struggled. Nick Lofton's hitting a 220 with no power whatsoever, and Twins are right now a top 10 team in terms of run creation, and Byron Buxton, this guy has been absolutely booming thus far this season. 18 home runs, he's giving you about a 320 on base. Love what I'm seeing there. You need a little bit more on some of these ancillary guys, the likes of Brooks Lee, Austin Martin, Luke Cashiel, ranging between about a 245 to a 255, and in the credit of Martin, he's been able to give you about a 350 on base. You've been able to have Trevor Larnach hit for about a 373 on base. Now for Josh Bell, it's just not been great. He's not been able to give you a lot of power, and he's been hitting at 230, so that's a little bit of an issue. And the Twins bullpen also very much an issue. They're another team that's in the bottom six in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. After a nice start to the season, Cody Funderburk has become a little bit untrustworthy. Really your best reliever right now, I would say, is Eric Orze, hovering right around about a 360 with regards to that ERA. Yannis Gomez, since they picked him up, has been really good. He was awful in like 4 different spots over the last 2 years, though, so have to have some trepidation there. You still have a lot of these other guys, like an Anthony Bandes posting up an ERA above a 5, Cody Lawyerson, so there's been a lot of issue there, but I think that Joe Ryan goes out there, lends a lot of length, and gets the job done here for the Twins. I do like the Twins on the run line, so we'll take pretty much a plus 110 or better, and I do like this total to the under, somebody total 7.6. 917, 918 on the card. The Orioles are going to be on the road against the Blue Jays. For the Blue Jays right now, it's to be determined as the starter should be Spencer Miles in some sort of bulk role / a starter. Kyle Bradish is on the bump for the Orioles, and this is a pick'em game. You're finding both of these teams between minus 108 to a minus 110 and a total of 8 over and under, both at minus 110. And for the Blue Jays, I set them at a minus 141. I'm going to be willing to roll the dice on the money line for Kyle Bradish. He has been giving up the 4.5 walks per 9 innings, and that's a big, shall we say, mark on him because he's been pretty solid. 344 ERA. He's getting nice strikeouts per 9 innings. He's only allowing 1 home run per 9 innings, but that said, that might knock him out of this start early, and it's a Orioles bullpen that's right now 23rd in the big leagues in terms of ERA. It's hovering right around about a 473. Yunier Cano, along with Uncle Rico Garcia, have been great in this bullpen. Both of these guys have been able to give you a sub 250 ERA, but Andrew Kittredge, along with Keegan Aiken, since coming off the injury list, over a 5 ERA. Grant Wolfram's a roll of the dice. Anthony Nunez is providing a 5 ERA, and for the Orioles, just not the same hitting team when they're away from home rather than at home. At home, the Orioles are averaging over 5 runs per game, entering into the series more like 4 runs per game, a bottom 10 mark in all baseball. Now, Pete Alonso is starting to give you a little bit more double-figure amount of homers, 320 on base. Ali Rushman, he's been much more solid this year than he was in the past. 345 on base, and he's been able to do a nice job going yard. He's up to 8 home runs with yesterday. Taylor Ward, he's at 2 home runs, but he just continues to move the line. 400 on base, had like 30 home runs last season with the Angels, but wasn't able to get on base, so it's an opposite year for him. Leody Taveras moving the line as well, and Jackson Holiday, he's been able to look a little bit more like himself recently. Need more out of the likes of Colton Cowser, Kobe Mayo, guys like this hitting below at 225. That includes Gunnar Henderson, even though he's been able to give you power, 274 on base. Meanwhile, for the Blue Jays, they just don't strike out. They're a top 2 team in terms of fewest strikeouts on a per at-bat basis, and plenty of guys move the line. Yohendrick Pinago, Ernie Clement, Nathan Lukes, Vlad Guerrero Jr. These are all guys hitting at least a 280. For Guerrero, just 3 home runs this far this season, though. Your main boom man has been Kazuma Okamoto. He's been able to give you double-figure amount of homers. It's about a 230, though, and then Andres Jimenez, along with Brandon Valenzuela at the bottom lineup, have been great, though Valenzuela, I believe, has had a pair of home runs over the last 3 days. And for the Blue Jays, this has been a team that's been in the top half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. They have really found a good trusted 3. Louis Farland, Braden Fisher, Tyler Rogers. These are all guys give you a sub 275 ERA. Jeff Hoffman continues to be untrustworthy. The likes of Tommy Kahnle and company are a bit of a roll of the dice, but I do think that Spencer Miles is going to be able to go out there and do a relatively solid job for the team. He's probably not going to lend a lot of length. Has really not went past 4 innings as far this season, but that said, in the small sample size that we've seen out of him, 347 ERA, 330 fielding, depends 0.7 home runs allowed per 9 innings. So, maybe the Blue Jays minus 141 favorite, like them on the money line, set a total of an 8.2, so I like that 8 to the over. 919, 920 on the card. It's the Athletics. They're going to be on the road against the Astros as Tatsuya Amai is on the bump for the Stros, and Caden Morris goes for the Athletics. Athletics who find themselves in a pick'em game. Both of these teams are between minus 105 to minus 112, and the total on this game is 9 to 9.5. On the 9.5, under is minus 120, the over is even. On the 9, over is minus 120, and the under is even. I actually do like this to the under. I set my total at a 8.7 for Amai. It's still been a very rough transition coming on over from Japan to the States, but he's looked much better recently. He was part of that combined no-hitter a few weeks ago, still is posting up about a 5.52 ERA, and the main crux of his issues has been command. 6.1 walks per 9 innings, but over his last 3 starts, he's given up only 6 walks, and he's went 6+ innings in 2 out of those last 3 starts. So it does look like he's starting to round into a little bit of better form here. And then for Morris, this is going to be his MLB debut, so going to be a little bit of a roll of the the dice as to what the Athletics are going to be able to get out of him. For Morris, you look at what he was able to do at the minor league level this season with Las Vegas, 4.45 ERA, which in the PCL, that doesn't sound like the world's best, but in the PCL, that'll play. 1.2 home runs, 3.9 walks per 9 innings. Not a strikeout guy, never has been in his career in the minor league level, less than 7.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, so he's going to be pitching to quite a bit of contact, and this is an Athletics team that has a bullpen that has been in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of ERA, but I do like some of these guys. Justin Sterner down below a 3.75 ERA. Mark Leiter Jr. just lighters up games, but then you've got someone like a Luis Medina, Hogan Harris. These guys have been able to give you a sub 3.50 ERA. Elvis Alvarado, when he's been in the building, is not great. They just pulled him off the injury list, so we'll see what he's able to provide. And for the Athletics, they've been about a league average offense this season. Brent Rooker just has not been able to find it along Tyler Soderstrom. Both of these guys hitting below 235. We'll say over the last week or so, Soderstrom has been hitting a little bit better, and Henry Bolte, since they called him up, he's been hitting above a 300. You've also got Nick Kurtz give you a 435 on base, double figure amount of homers. Shea Langeliers, Shea is banged for 16 home runs, about a 355 on base. Carlos Cortez continues to give you over a 4 on base. So overall, it's been a relatively locked and loaded lineup, and for the Astros, all about Yordan Alvarez and Christian Walker. Walker, 15 plus home runs, hitting about a 250. Alvarez, 20 plus home runs, 430 on base. And for Jeremy Pena, he's not giving you a lot of power, but he's hitting a 300. Isaac Paredes, one of the best pull hitters in all of baseball. He does a great job with the Crawford boxes out there in Houston. Other ballparks, not so kind. And then you've got the likes of Zach Cole, Zach DeZenzo, Cam Smith, throwing their Bryce Matthews, a whole bunch of outfielders that rank below at 225 for this team. Throwing their Jake Myers as well. They're needing a little bit more there. And for the Astros, for much of the season, they have been dead sinking last in terms of bullpen ERA. But getting back Josh Hader should be able to help out that bullpen a little bit. And you've had a few guys be able to give you just a more respectable effort, I think is the best way of putting it, in this bullpen. You've had Aniel De Los Santos be able to give you a sub 350 ERA, Brian King as well. Now, Brian Abreu has just been lost this season, above a 7 ERA, and they do have Bennett Sosa on the injury list, but Steven Okert, he seems to be rounding into a little bit of better form as well, and I do think that they are going to be able to get to Cade Morris here. So with the Astros, set their money line price at a minus 122. I'm going to be looking there. I do like this total to the under, made my total at 8.7. 921, 922 on the card. It's the Red Sox. They're going to be on the road against the Yankees. Will Warren goes for the Yankees, and Ranger Suarez is on the bump for Boston. Boston does find themselves as an underdog between plus 113 to a plus 121. Meanwhile, minus 132 to minus 138 is that number on the Yankees. 8 is the total. Over is minus 120. Under is even. Seeing some 8.5s out there as well. On the 8.5, under is minus 115. Over is minus 105. I did set my money line price at a minus 147. I'm going to be willing to take a shot here on the Yankees. Now, Aaron Judge being out of the lineup for the foreseeable future, that is not great to say the least, but Ben Rice has really done a nice job stepping up for this team as he's been able to supply an on-base percentage that's hovering in the neighborhood about a 400, and he's been able to go deep 18 times this season. Trent Grisham, it's been a rough start to the season for him, but back up to a 330 on base, 8 home runs. It's been a little bit of a liability out there in the field, but he's been improving as weeks go along, and you now have Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, move the line, both give you above a 350 on base with some functional power as well. I feel like the Yankees are in a little bit of better shape this year than they have been in the past without Aaron Judge. For the Yankees, averaging over 5.5 runs per game at home. Still have the likes of Ryan McMahon, Austin Bolsa at the bottom lineup. They need to give you a bit more, and for the Red Sox, this has been a bottom 3 team in terms of run creation overall. Have been significantly better away from home rather than at home. At home, they're dead last, getting about 3.2 runs per game at home, but now you're getting guys on base. Wilson Contreras continues to be your main man, 13 home runs, 390 on base, but how about the likes of Ceddanne Rafaela, Weiler Abreu, Isaiah Canera-Falefa. These are guys give you between about a 330 to a 350 on base. You've had Connor Wong be one of those guys as well. Mickey Gasper has been able to move the line, so that's been better. And for Jarren Duran, 9 home runs since the beginning of the month of May. That'll play for the Red Sox. This has been a good bullpen. They've been a top 16 in terms of bullpen ERA. They do land Garrett Woodlock on the injury list, but they're getting back Danny Kalum. Greg Weisert, after a really rough start to the season, he's rebounded, getting his ERA back below 4. Giovanni Moore and Roald Chapman have been very good in the back half of games as well. And for the Yankees, your main 2 guys, in David Bednar and Camilo Doval, they've been nightmares for this team in the bullpen. Both are providing an ERA above a 4, but that said, the likes of Tim Hill, Brent Hendrick, Fernando Cruz, they've been able to do a nice job. Other than Hill. Hill has recently really pooped the bed, but Hendrick and Cruz still giving you a sub-3 ERA. They're getting Jake Bird off the injured list. He's been a little bit shaky, but we'll see if that injured list stint was able to help him out a little bit. Additionally, you've had Ball Blackburn walk the plank, be able to give you a sub-350 ERA as a long guy as well. And for Will Warren, he's had issues giving giving up the deep ball at home. At home, he has given up closer to about 1.5 home runs per 9 innings, and away from home, 0.5 or less home runs per 9 innings. So he has been much better when he has been away from home. But that said, for Warren overall for the season, 3.22 ERA, 3.27 fielding dependent, 1 home run allowed per 9 innings, 9.8 strikeouts per 9. And for Ranger Suarez, he's been very reliable for this Red Sox team, as right now, supplying a 3.38 ERA, 3.12 fielding dependent. Strikeout stuff is way down, 8.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 2.9 walks, 0.6 home runs allowed per 9 innings. He has given up, though, 9 total runs over the course of 10 innings in his last 2 starts. So, interesting circumstance here with the Yankees. I do think that they get to Suarez a little bit, and I think that Warren gives you a good start. Like the under sub, I tell it at 8.4 for the Yankees, willing to lay the money line. Set them at a minus 147. 923, 924 on the card. It's the Guardians on the road against the Walker Texas Rangers. Jack Leiter looks to lighter it up as he's on the bump for Texas, and you got Tanner Bybee going for Cleveland. 8 is the total, over is minus 115, under is minus 105, and the Rangers find themselves right around about minus 107 to a minus 112, anywhere between minus 103 to minus 110. That number on Cleveland, and I did semi-total at 7.8. I'm going to be in on the under for Tanner Bybee. Very big home and road splits thus far this season, and he has been giving up the deep ball quite a bit more than what you'd like. He's been giving up in that neighborhood of about 1.3 to 1.4 home runs per 9 innings, 3.74 ERA at home, 5.96 away from home, backed up by a bullpen that you just expected to be a little bit better for the Guardians. Being 12th in terms of bullpen ERA, not necessarily the world's worst thing, but typically it's a Cleveland Guardians team that absolutely bears down with their bullpen. They've been dealing with the injury to Eric Zabrowski. It was so good for them to begin the season, and Hunter Gaddis has just been lost this season. He's been giving an ERA closer to 3.86, has rounded into form a little bit more here recently. I like what Cade Smith, Tim Aaron have been able to provide, a sub 3.05 ERA out of both of those guys. Matt Vesta clearly is not the answer, and for the Guardians, they've been a little bit better on offense this season than they've been in the past, but still about 21st in the league in terms of run creation. Jose Ramirez, he's been giving you the 22 stolen bases, 350 on base, 9 home runs. You expect a little bit more power out of him, but Brian Rocchio's moving the line, about a 365 on base. Chase Lauder, after that super hot start to the season, now has been sort of meh, 335 on base, and Rhys Hoskins actually has a 353 on base, but 6 home runs, an inning at 200. You expect a little bit more there. The catcher spot has been an issue for the team. Austin Hedges has actually been a little bit better, but Bo Naylor's dealt with a lot of injury throughout the season as well, and Kyle Manzardo has been a little bit disappointing on the other end. It's a Texas team that has had a very difficult time in terms of generating offense at home. Right now they're averaging about 3.5 runs per game at home, third worst in all of baseball, compared to 4.4 runs per game away from home. Arlington really does suppress offense, and Jack Leiter, I think, is going to have himself a field day with that. For Mr. Leiter, he's posting up an ERA that's right around about a 4.34, but lower 4.08 fielding dependent, 10 strikeouts per 9 innings, and with the bullpen of the Rangers, they've been a top 8 team in terms of ERA. You've had the Jacob Junis, Jacob Latz, both be able to give you a sub 3 ERA. Jalen Beeks can be a little bit up and down as a long guy, but he's able to lend some relatively good length. Cole Winn is on the injured list, but that really doesn't hurt this bullpen. He was really the weak link, and for the Rangers, they get back Corey Seager and they get back Wyatt Langford yesterday. It's going to take them a little bit of time to reacclimate, and both were off to shaky starts to the season, but that's going to be able to help you out. Jock Peterson, in the meantime, 365 on base. He's starting to move the line. You don't have a ton of power with this team. Right now, you've only got one player with more than 8 home runs. That'd be Jake Berger, and he's only giving you about a 290 on base, but Brandon Nimmo continues at above a 250. Josh Young has been hitting darn near 300. Don't call his name. Alejandro Azuna, 375 on base. Do think that the Rangers get to Tanner Bybee here and get the job done. Like this total to the under, semi-total 7.8, and with the Rangers, set them at a minus 135, so in on that money line. 925, 926 on the card. The White Sox are on the road against the Phillies. Andrew Painter is on the bump for the Phils, and Sean Burke goes for the White Sox. White Sox are an underdog here, a plus 110 to a plus 118. Meanwhile, minus 128 to minus 135. That's your number on the Phils. 9.5 to 10 is the total on the 9.5. Over is minus 120. The under is even on the 10. The under is minus 115, and the over is minus 105. And I'm going to be willing to take a shot here on the Phillies. Set them at a minus 146. Now for Sean Burke, he's been able to give you a relatively nice start to the season here. He really cut down on the walks after last season. That was right around about 4.2 or so walks per 9 innings, 2.5 walks per 9 innings, 8.3 strikeouts per 9, 372 ERA, lower 332 fielding dependent. And for Andrew Painter, it's been a no good, very bad, terrible start to the season, but I do believe that he's doing for a little bit of positivity as well. 574 ERA, but a fielding dependent closer to 475, 1.5 home runs per 9 innings, and only about 7.3 strikeouts per 9. Not necessarily ideal. He does go up against a White Sox team that is in the upper half of the big leagues in terms of run creation, but be mindful that Montaka Murakami is out of the lineup, and he was supplying 20-plus home runs. So have two main boom guys, as Colson Montgomery along with Miguel Vargas. Both of these guys have been able to give you 13-plus home runs this season. Neither hit for amazing average, especially Montgomery hitting like a 225, 315 on base. Vargas does give you about a 375 on base. So, and then you've had Sam Antonassi be able to give you about a 380 on base. Chase Meadroth has moved line. He's hitting about a 270. And Randall Grichuk has been able to do a nice job as a little bit of an ancillary guy. Andrew Benintendi really needs to pick it up. He's not hitting the deep ball. He's below 300 on base. Edgar Quero as well. Flip side for the Philadelphia Phillies, this team has been a bottom 5 team in terms of run creation. It's been all about Kyle Schwarber along with Bryce Harper. Harper, about 14 home runs at 370 on base. Schwarber, over 20 shore bombs, and he's been able to give you about a 360 on base. This infield, though, with Armando Sosa, Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, JT Realmuto, Trey Turner down for what? We've got so many guys hitting at 230 or lower for this team. Adolis Garcia continues to be about as useful as a poopy flavored lollipop, but for the Philadelphia Phillies, they're starting to find some trustworthy relievers. Jose Alvarado has not been the answer since the drug suspension. It's been rough for him, along Jonathan Bullen is providing over a 4.50 ERA, but Orion Kirkering, Yohan Duran, these guys have been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. Brad Keller's been a little bit up and down, but you know what, a 3.71 ERA, that's going to play here, and I do think that the White Sox going to continue to miss a bat of Murakami, and I think Andrew Painter gives you a good start. I'm going to take the money line of the Phillies, set them at a minus 146, and like the under, semi-total at 8.1, 927, 928 on the card. It's the Marlins, and they're going to be playing us to the Rays. Shane McClanahan is on the bump for the Tampa Bay Rays, to be announced. Currently on the bump for the Miami Marlins. This game is off the board. I have to think that this is going to be a bit of a bullpen game, as for the Miami Marlins, right now Fangraphs has Bradley Blaylock getting the start for them. That is not a place where you want to be, so I've just pretty much labeled this as a bullpen game. I'm seeing one opener minus 154 on the Rays, plus 130 with the Marlins total of 8, over and under both at minus 110, and set a total of an 8.2. I do like the over, especially if you get Brandon Blaylock. Like, holy crud, this guy has a career ERA that's well above a 6. There's no trusting him whatsoever. Even if you do get Brandon Blaylock, though, you have to think that he's not going to be long for this game. You're probably going to get quite a bit of someone like a Lake Bakar, who's been a long guy, who's been able to give you a 3.45 ERA. Michael Peterson, great name. He's been a little bit up and down in the bullpen, but he and Anthony Bender both supplying his sub 3.65 ERA. It's going to be all hands on deck, and they're hoping for much more out of Ryan Gusto, but no May Gusto, the fact that he didn't make it out of the third inning yesterday, so that was all sorts of issues for the team. And Tyler Phillips was able to do a relatively solid job in a bit of a bulk roll, and for the Tampa Bay Rays, you've got a lot of guys that are booming for this team, as Junior Caminero, about a 390 on base. He last year had 44 home runs. He's on pace for just a hair below that this season. Chandler Simpson is hitting at 275. You've had some like a Hunter Fiducia at the catcher spot be able to above a 260 as well. Nick Fortes, when he's out there catching, more around about a 250. Cedric Mullins has not been great for the team, but Jonathan Aranda, Yandy Diaz, both above a 380 on base as well. And then for the Miami Marlins, you really have one guy that's been able to give you over 8 home runs this season, Liam Hicks. He's been able to supply about a 350 on base with those bombs. Then Xavier Edwards out of Lopez, they're hitting above 300. Javier Sancho moves the line, he's hitting about a 250, but you need to do something about these guys out of the bottom of the lineup. Like, you've got Owen Casey, Asterio Ruiz, Jacob Marcy, Joe Mack, a lot of guys they're hitting a 230 or lower with not a lot of power. Kyle Starwards has been underwhelming since coming off the injury list, and for Sugar Shane McClanahan, he has looked like the guy that we all know and love. He spent multiple years just dealing with injuries, and he has come back and he has been able to be a big part of the team. They try to limit his innings a little bit. He's only averaging about 5 innings for a start, but still, 245 ERA, 8.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. The walks have been a little bit high. He's over 3 walks per 9 innings, but just 2 home runs allowed in 55 innings, and for this bullpen, it's been much better here recently. Cole Sulzer has acted up a little bit. He's up to about a 5 ERA, but Kevin Kelly, Brian Baker, they've been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. So it's picking up Casey Lugumino, who's with the Seattle Mariners. He's been able to give you a sub 3 ERA as well. So it feels like they're doing a nice job mixing and matching with this bullpen. And I do think that the Rays should be a nice size favorite here. I set them at a minus 162. So I'd be looking most likely at a run line here in terms of this game, because right now I'm seeing that opening run line price right around about a plus 108. I'd be willing to take a plus 103 or better and do like the over, so I tell it at 8.2. Wrap things up with 929, 930 on the card. The Angels are going to be on the road against the Dodgers. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is on the bump for the Dodgers. It's expected to be Jack Kachanowicz for the Angels, but right now they have listed 2 beatdowns. Most books have a opener here of the Dodgers being minus 330 to minus 340 favorites. Meanwhile, plus 270 to plus 280 is that number on the Angels. 8.5 is the total. Over is minus 120, and the under's even. And we're looking to lay a run half with the Dodgers minus 152 to minus 155, and I set mine on a minus 158. Wouldn't want to go much past like the minus 152, minus 158, but there's just no trusting in Jack Kachanowicz, who has been a little bit better this year than he has been in the past, but boy oh boy, 5.23 ERA. He's really not stunning people with the fact that he's getting 6.5 strikeouts, a 4.9 walks per 9 innings. So his great keeps the ball in the yard, 0.8 home runs allowed per 9 innings. I feel like that's been a little bit of fortune, and let's give it up now. 3+ plus runs in each out of his last 5 starts. He's given up 5 plus runs in 3 of them. So it's really not going well for him. He's been bad at home. He's been bad on the road. It's just all sorts of bad right now. And then for Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he actually has a career ERA more than 1.3 points higher when he's at home rather than away from home, but he's really been able to lock in here recently. He's given up 2 combined earned runs over the course of his last 3 starts, 286 ERA, 358 fielding depending. He's given up 1.2 home runs per 9 innings, but 9 strikeouts at 1.9 walks per 9 innings, and we're going to call it what it is. This is an Angels lineup that just has been very all or nothing. They have been a team that has been in the top 10 in terms of run creation when they've been away from home this season. And Mike Trout obviously is doing his part. He continues to give you right around about a 400 base. He's been up to 14 home runs. They've got Nolan Schunel currently on the injury list, so that's been hurting them. So Zach Neto has had to step up, and he's been able to give you 10 home runs. Right around about a 340 on base. Wyatt Meckler, he in a very small sample size has impressed, but you have to wonder if he, along with like Donovan Walton, some of these guys that have been solid in a very small sample size, are able to keep it up. Meanwhile, for the LA Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani down a little bit with power with only 10 home runs entering into yesterday, but still giving you that 400 plus on base. Andy Paz, Max Muncy, a combined 27 home runs entering into yesterday, both give you above a 340 on base. Mookie Betts has been relatively rough thus far this season, but that's it. Alex Call has been able to hit about a 285. You've had Will Smith getting jiggy with it a little bit more. Freddie Freeman is up to 9 home runs, and he's been able to hit about a 270. And for the Dodgers, this continues to be a top 5 team in terms of opening area. Tanner Scott has been a little bit up and down here over the last week or so, but he's looking like that guy that was so good a few seasons ago, sub 250 ERA. Then the likes of Will Klein, Kyle Hurt, Alex Vesia are giving you a sub 3 ERA. And for the LA Angels, this is just a terrible bullpen. They are a bottom 3 team in terms of ERA. They're kicking the tires right now on Taijuan Walker. They were trying out Alek Manoah. I don't know what they were thinking there. Drew Pomerantz is over a 5 ERA. Ryan Zefrian above a 4. Brent Suter above a 4. Mitch Ferris as a long guy. He's actually been halfway decent. They should probably give him starts at this point. He's been providing about a 3 ERA, but just all sorts of rough for this Angels team. So I think that the Dodgers go out there, absolutely tattoo this bunch. I set my total at 8.7 like the over. And for the Dodgers, willing to lay up to about a minus 155 on that run line. And that'll wrap things up for the Saturday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Big thanks to our guy Curtis Rogers over at 710 Seattle Sports, pre- and post-game host for the Mariners, for joining me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of 2 ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_D1. Keep in mind, letters CM, they mean does not matter. So, as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via the 5-star review. Coming at you guys every single day with picks and analysis on every game, every day. So I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.